I recently went to a local workshop here in Melbourne exploring the topic of anal fisting. It was a talk complete with many helpful tips and suggestions, followed by a demonstration. The participants were even invited to put on these long rubber gloves and to insert their own fist into the anal cavity of the person providing their own anus for this purpose. But let's start at the beginning. My name is Helena Nista and I make videos that help you have the best sex of your life. And today I'm going to tell you all about the experience of anally fisting your partner or about being anally fisted as a recipient. So the benefit of knowing other sexologists, other people working in my field, is that I hear from them about different talks, workshops and events, etc. that have to do with different aspects of sexuality. And when one of these friends asked me if I wanted to join him and go to an anal fisting workshop, I didn't have to think twice. I've personally experienced many times anal touch, anal stimulation and even penetration with fingers, with penises, with dildos or with butt plugs. But the world of anal fisting is something that I know more so in theory than in personal practice. So I knew that attending that workshop would be beneficial to me professionally and who knows, maybe also personally when it comes to my own sex life. And it all started off with a bit of anatomy. It is, after all, helpful to know what's going on inside of the body once you go past the anal opening. So once you approach the anus from the outside, you will first encounter the external anal sphincter and then right behind it, the internal anal sphincter. These two circular muscles are a form of a gateway, holding everything inside and making sure that nothing leaks outside of the anus at an inappropriate time. Once you've gone past the sphincters, you will encounter the rectum, where typically the fecal matter is stored right before the bowel movement. So while you might encounter traces of feces there, they're not typically stored there. The rectum goes up into the body, and then the colon turns right, and it's called, that section of the colon is called the sigmoid colon. So there's that right turn there from your point of view when you are facing your lover, but in their own body that turn actually goes left. After that you'll find the vertical descending colon, and then transverse colon, and then the ascending colon. At that point, the large intestine ends because that's where you'll find the ileocecal valve that will take you into the small intestine. So knowing how the large intestine moves and travels through the body is obviously significant depending on how far you want to go with your fist. So if you're only going to be reaching into the rectum with your fist, it doesn't really matter which hand you go with. However, if you will be trying to get past the rectum and into the sigmoid colon, it is actually beneficial to start with your left hand if your partner is on their back, so that it's easier for you to go right into their left, because that's where the sigmoid colon is located. And during that workshop, I was actually quite surprised to learn just how far you can go into the large intestine, and that in that case knowledge about all the turns and direction of the large intestine is actually very, very important. Okay, let's talk preparation, a very important step. First of all, as a person doing the touch and performing the anal fisting, you obviously need to remove all jewelry, watches, everything that could potentially hurt your partner, and you'll need to file your nails pretty short as well. The tissue of the anal cavity internally is very delicate, so you don't want to scratch anything or hurt your partner in any kind of a way. It's also going to be a good idea to use something like nitrile gloves that are very smooth. Their texture, their surface is very much skin-like. So while protecting your partner from any sort of rough skin on your hands, they will also give them a nice feeling of that very smooth surface of this kind of gloves. Using gloves might also work for you as the giver, of the touch as the anal fister. If you feel any sort of discomfort about reaching into the anal cavity of your partner. You also need to prepare lube, and quite a lot of it, and the right kind. The water or even oil-based lubes won't quite cut it here. You'll need to reach for something more heavy duty, like a silicone-based lube. There are actually lubes specifically designed for anal play, so you can definitely visit your local sex shop or shop online to find something that is specifically created for anal play. The facilitator of the workshop also mentioned products like Crisco, the very heavy and thick oil for cooking. It seems like that works really, really well for that sort of deeper anal penetration. Another product was fist powder, which you'll need to add water to dissolve it in water. So that's other recommendations, if you've got access to this sort of products. Next, you'll need to prepare the recipient of the anal fisting, and that means taking a shower and cleansing the anal cavity. So you might want to use something like a douche that will rinse the rectum, or an enema that is a bag with liquid and a pipe taking that water or guiding that water or whatever liquid you're using into the anus, which will allow for deeper cleansing than just the rectum. And obviously there are also colonics, professional colonics that you can also opt for that will perform an even more intense cleansing of not just the rectum but potentially the entire large intestine. A word of caution here though, do not over cleanse your bowels. That is actually not good for your health, not good for the health of your microbiome. So don't perform this more often than maybe once a month, and also make sure to take some kind of probiotics in order to replenish that inner bacteria, that positive, good bacteria. Also remember that if you're opting for a silicone lube, do not use any silicone toys because they just will interact in a possibly negative way. Silicone lubricants typically will damage silicone toys, but in this case we're talking about using your fist, using your hands, so I'm assuming you won't be using silicone toys in this instance. Okay, so you're both ready, everybody is clean, prepared, there are all the items ready, you've got lube, you've got your nails filed, etc. You can begin the session. And here the key word is relaxation. You really, as the person performing the anal fisting, you really need to relax your partner. Performing any kind of anal penetration is always and only about relaxing those muscles, those sphincters, and the anal cavity, never about stretching it. And this is important. You don't want to force any kind of internal touch that your partner's butt anus isn't ready for. But you do want to relax them so much that the body can actually open up to allow your fist to go through. So your job here is to touch and caress and massage your partner, their entire body and their anus externally, until they feel so relaxed, so open, so safe, so loved by you that their anus just opens up to your touch. So start with a bit of full body massage, massaging their back, their shoulders, their legs, etc. All depends, if they're lying on their front or their back, which position is better for them. Some people prefer to be anally penetrated when they are lying on their back. Others prefer to lie on their front. Others still prefer to be on all fours or on their sides, etc. So this is something to also discuss, which position is actually best for your recipient. And once they are in position, you can really knead their buttocks and really massage and lovingly caress the entire area, not just the anus itself externally, but also the entire bum area. And once you feel that their body is feeling very, very relaxed and very ready for actually touching the anus, you can do a bit of touch and relaxing massage on the anus itself, on the anal opening. So that can look like tracing your finger around the anal opening or gently poking without doing anything aggressive or harsh, but gently sort of knocking at the anal opening with your finger. You can also vibrate the anus with your finger. Do this kind of vibrating motion that can feel very, very relaxing. Or you can use your thumbs to try to gently sort of encourage and invite the anus to open. You can do this with both of your fingers, your thumbs, in that kind of way where you're just gently massaging and stroking around the anus and the anus itself, kind of, inviting it to open. And definitely take your time here. Don't rush through this step. Your partner really needs to be open and relaxed for this to happen. Otherwise, you might actually hurt them, or the experience simply won't be pleasurable for them at all. So really take your time. If this massage takes half an hour, perfect. If it takes an hour, oh my God, even more amazing. But at that point, they should be feeling very relaxed and very kind of ready for a bit more of an internal touch, at which point you can start introducing just one finger, doing it very slowly, very gently, not pushing, not forcing the anus to open up, but actually seeing how much your partner's body will allow you to go inside. And once you're inside, it's a good idea to also just stay there and to allow your partner's anus to get used to the sensation of being penetrated, of your finger being inside without a lot of movement at first. After that, you can start gently moving your finger and massaging internally the walls of the anus. And once you feel your partner getting even more open, you can try introducing 2 fingers or 3 fingers and seeing how that goes. Obviously, you need to keep communicating with your partner throughout this process, making sure that they are feeling good, that they are experiencing pleasure, that this is not painful or uncomfortable, and that you keep getting from them the go ahead to keep going and to keep touching and stimulating them. Because only at this point, once you've done all this work, all the preparation, all the stimulation, all the sort of gentle internal touch, taking your time, really, really relaxing everything, only then you can actually start thinking about introducing a fist. And when I say a fist, I don't mean this, I mean this. This is a lot easier to introduce, kind of, trying to make your hands sort of smaller and easier to introduce inside of the anal cavity. And obviously, if your partner wants even more, more stimulation or more pressure internally, more volume, then maybe you can introduce this kind of a fist as well, absolutely. But definitely starting with that kind of a fist. Because at that point, when they are so open, so relaxed, and having such an amazing time and experiencing all this pleasure from the internal stimulation of their anus, that you are then able to introduce your fist. At this point, it is actually very likely that they should start experiencing even orgasms and orgasmic pleasure from having your fist inside of them. And this is also where the communication and staying connected to each other is so important, because you need to know how to then move that fist and what to do with your hand once you are inside of them. So for some people, just having the fist inside is enough, and they enjoy just that fullness, just that intense stimulation coming from the pressure put on the internal walls of the rectum. While other people prefer movement, so they will want you to actually, either twist your hand or move it sort of in and out, whether you're actually withdrawing all the way out of the anus, which that can be a very, very intense sensation for different people, maybe too intense in different cases, or whether you're only moving your hands sort of internally while staying inside of the rectum. So do take care here. Never just withdraw your hand sort of carelessly without letting your partner know first that this is what you're going to do, so that they can be prepared, they know that it's coming, they can make sure that they are extra relaxed for that movement, and so that they don't experience any discomfort or pain during that maneuver. And if you do desire to go even deeper, to allow your fist to travel past the rectum and into their sigmoid colon, there are these 2 particular strokes that you might find very, very helpful here. One of them is using your fingers in this kind of motion while you are inside of their anus, in order to really relax those those walls of the large intestine. So that's one movement while you're in there and you're just using the tips of your fingers to relax the environment that you're in. And then the second movement that will allow you to or help you to go deeper is to actually kind of stretch your fingers and then kind of pull them together so that you can kind of start working your way deeper and deeper into the canal that you're in, into the colon, in this case into the sigmoid colon. So once you've kind of stretched your fingers and kind of brought them together to kind of pull your hand in or your fist in a little deeper, then again just work with the pads of your fingers to relax everything, taking your time, communicating with your partner before you try to kind of stretch your fingers again and to go in a little deeper still. And by doing exactly this movement, this motion, the stretching and pulling in, pulling the hand in and then the kind of spider fingers, by doing this, the facilitator of this workshop was actually able to travel with her arm past the elbow inside of the anal cavity of her partner, and in this way she was able to penetrate him very, very deeply. And this is where the world of that really deep penetration comes into this. But please be careful with this here. Don't think that you need to get your entire arm past your elbow inside of your partner the first time you do this. Absolutely not. This is something that she has been doing for many years now, and they've been playing this way with her partner for, I think 3 years at least at this point. So this is where they got after years of doing this, of practicing, of communicating about this, and slowly getting better and better at this deep penetration through anal fisting. So don't be crazily ambitious here. If you do manage to even get your fist inside of your partner's rectum, that will be a great achievement. But if you don't, if it's just a finger for the first time, then that's perfectly fine. Take your time, don't rush this process. And if you're interested in the ecstatic art of rimming your partner, aka stimulating their anal opening with your tongue, then you should definitely watch this video next.